Hi, I am Tony Russo, and this is Brief Introduction from Kates-Boylston, where we talk to people about who they are and why they do what they do. This week, we are speaking with Marilyn Brandt. She's the regional business developer for cemeteries for the Davey Tree Expert Company. And we have a great chat about how important trees are. It's not that you don't know, of course you know, but she will be presenting at the upcoming Kates-Boylston Cemetery Grounds and Structures event February 25th. And we talk about some of the things she's going to go over in her presentation, as well as some of the things you need to know in general about the benefits of taking good care of your trees at your cemetery. We've got a ton of events coming up, and you can see them all if you go visit events.kates-boylston.com. You can register in advance and be able to listen to or watch the videos whenever you like. All right, well, let's have this conversation now with Marilyn. And so you will be joining us as one of the speakers at our virtual event on February 25th. But I'm really interested in how you got to where you are. What brought you into this business? What keeps you in this business? Why do you continue to do what you do?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. This all started back in college. I was a botany major. Like a funny joke, my mother is the one who got me my job. She was attending a garden club presentation that Lakeview Cemetery was doing, and they were talking about identifying all the trees and shrubs on their property. And that was one of my senior projects at Miami University, was to identify a new area that was developed. And she says, "Oh, I have this daughter getting ready to graduate. Would you like a job? Do you have a job for her?" And lo and behold, I started as an intern, horticulturalist intern at Lakeview Cemetery in Cleveland. And obviously they liked what I did and kept me on as a full-time horticulturalist. Then I was there for 35 years. I loved the industry, grew to love it, went into management, and grew into the chief operating officer. So I was there for 35 years and loved what I did.
And
one year later, after 35 years, I decided it was time to move on, and got a wonderful opportunity with Davey Tree. And I am kind of like their cemetery liaison. I'm working with the business development team, and I'm specialized in cemeteries. So I get to give back to the industry, and that's what I'm really happy to be able to do.
what do you see as you would like to have people take away from this? What should people know, whether they attend or not? Like the key takeaway, I think, if you wanted people to know one thing about your presentation.
I think the biggest key is for cemeterians to really understand that trees are a vital asset of their cemeteries. It's not only good for their visitors, it's good for their community. And it's vitally important to care for those trees as best as they can. They'll just last and be less of a liability to them if they do take care of them on a as best practice as they can.
The cemeteries near me, I have a lot of the, headstones and grass cemeteries near me. And it bothers me that they don't have trees. It's something that you want a little relief and you want a little peace. Trees seem to improve cemeteries for me. If there's someone that has, no trees, and I know it's a difficult commitment to make, but it's not an impossible one, right?
Yeah, I agree. The many of the memorial gardens are flat headstones and just rolling grass, which is beautiful, but the trees just add that extra element of character to it and peacefulness. And it's, again, good for the environment, good for the people, not only the employees, but your visitors, and again, your in the community around you.
One of the things, because spring is coming up now, so now it's time to see who lived through the winter and what to do and what to do about that. What's that inspection process like? Is that's something that should have been going on all winter? You shouldn't wake up, on whatever March 15th and say, "Oh, time to check the trees," right?
Right. Internally, the staff should be kind of doing an assessment throughout their property on an ongoing basis, kind of having, even if they're not making a list, they're making a mental list of some of the issues, if there was storm damage and things like that. But really having a professional arborist coming in and doing a tree assessment, yeah, I think is vital. And it then gives you a plan that you can work from. Sometimes you get that plan and it's almost like a sticker shock, but there are ways, and I'll kind of give some suggestions on how cemeteries can be creative and fundraise and find money in their budget to be able to invest into their trees and the care of their trees.
And because this is something, I guess it depends upon the problem, but it's not always something that can be done piecemeal. Like when I take my car to the mechanic and he's like, "All right, well, these are all the things that need to be done." And then I'm like, "All right, well, what's what do I need to have done so it doesn't blow up?" And let's work backwards from there. Is that the kind of thing that cemeteries can do as well, or is often an all or nothing kind of proposition?
No, for sure. And that's where I think with my background running a cemetery and I've done this, then I can help in prioritizing and at least help with the cemeteries prioritizing their needs and hitting those trees that they can afford to take care of and be able to do first.
When you're looking at making changes, I guess planning's an important part of that, but, like, how do you know which parts to go? Like, I guess it's best to start with an expert and work your way backwards from there rather than, guess.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the key is to get that whole property assessment first, and then you can work backwards. Cemeterians, they know their property. They know the areas that are most important visitation areas and things like that. Working with a partner, um, be it an arborist or another tree company of some sort, that they can then work and create that priority list and get those most liable trees, take risk trees
Mhm.
taken care of.
Now, when you give presentations, what are some of the questions you get? Like that as soon as you say, "Are there any questions?" Someone's going to say X. Are there common questions that you get at the end of every presentation? Yes.
Yeah. So I've been asked by one cemeterian that they feel that trees are too much of a liability and too much cost, that they're actually removing all their trees. And I sat down and talked with him and I said, look at the impact that you're losing. And in actuality, if you're maintaining them properly, it's going to cost less in the long run than having to deal with it when something major happens with them. So those are kind of interesting questions and perspectives of some of the cemeteries I've come across.
Yeah, I can imagine that must be industry wide because whenever my brother had a bunch of trees, that a bunch of oak trees that needed to be taken out, and he was just, it's always shocked because you're like, well, it's gonna fall down. Why should I pay you to take it down? Right? It seems like an awful lot of money for the inevitable.
Right, right.
But of course, there's no safe way to just wait to see what happens.
Yeah, but you're safely removing it now instead of it potentially falling and damaging, a structure or in a cemetery, headstones or other trees, or even injuring or damaging, a car from one of your visitors. So, doing it safely and properly is much better than
Right.
having to deal with any liabilities afterwards.
But also, as you mentioned, treating it is probably like if it's treatable, better to leave the tree and have you know, the the beautification aspect of it is something that, setting aside the environmental benefits and these soil benefits, the beautification alone, I think, makes trees worth saving, when they're on the bubble there.
Yeah, for sure. And another positive for cemeteries, at my cemetery for sure, and I know others, people gravitate to those trees. They'll want to buy grave sites closer to those trees than anywhere else. So that's money in your pocket.
Excellent. And that is pretty much all I have for you, unless you have something else for me. Is there something I should have asked and didn't, or something you thought you'd get the opportunity to say, but I didn't provide it?
No, I think that was perfect. Thank you, Tony.
Not at all. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you in February.
All right. Thank you, Tony. Take care.
See, I told you she's a great presenter and just a charming speaker. So we're looking forward to seeing her, and we're looking forward to seeing you join us on February 25th. Again, link in the show notes, or you can find it by visiting events.kates-boylston.com. Brief Introduction has been a Kates-Boylston production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo. Please subscribe wherever you're listening now. And thank you so much for listening this week, and I will check in with you next time.